So the story kicks off 5 years after the last Demon King was sealed, but surprise, a new one has already appeared. And this time the pressure is so intense our heroes are admitting. It is overwhelming, it was not even like this 5 years ago. While humanity got soft enjoying the peace, the monsters were leveling up, making defeat seem inevitable. But our Archmage is not about to let that happen, immediately dropping a casual meteor fall on the demon army. Because even in the darkest of times, there are always a few adventurers built different enough to challenge a god. Our hero, the warrior, might be sweating bullets, but his eyes are locked on the goal. And get this, it only took their party 3 months to get a lavish welcome from the thunder god guarding the castle's front gate. Our boy just smirks and charges headfirst into the lightning, ready for the smoke. They carved a path through literal mountains of monsters to reach the Demon King's doorstep. Battered and exhausted, they have finally made it to the final stage of their epic quest. This real reason they were able to pull off this insane speedrun is because they have finally reached the end of their long, arduous journey. It is time to defeat the Demon King. Or is it? The story of this hero is not what you think, because we suddenly cut to his room where he is making some very sad noises. And boom, the legendary hero is just a dude crying in a blanket screaming, "I got dumped again." We flash back to him holding a bouquet, only to get hit with the coldest "do not wanna." This girl is just staring at him, completely baffled by his sudden marriage proposal. He is on his knees like, "But I said let us get married." And she just walks off telling him, "And I said no, did not I?" She then hits him with the most brutal roast, calling him stupid, clumsy, a coward, and indecisive. Ouch. She keeps going, hitting him with, "Even if I wash my eyes, I still cannot see a single drop of courage in you." Then asks the most insulting question imaginable, "Can you even defeat one monster?" before dropping the final bomb. "I want to marry a wonderful person like the hero warrior Jian," and our boy's only thought is, "It is so hard to be a hero, that is why I am not popular." This is his 9th rejection, and he suddenly realizes the only way to get a girl is to become a hero himself. Suddenly his room full of hero memorabilia does not look like a collection anymore. It looks like a goal, as he literally hugs his suit of armor screaming, "I want to marry a hero too." This dude is not just sad, he is the world's biggest hero fanboy, rolling around wanting to meet his idol. Because to him there is one undeniable truth in this world: I know best that heroes are awesome. In this era of great heroes where glory and treasure await the brave. You fight monsters, conquer dungeons, and get all the loot. Then you get to enjoy the fame and fortune back in town. He is obsessed with the legends who sealed the past demon kings, especially his favorite, the mysterious 15th hero who never shows his face. Lying in bed, he starts wondering what kind of hero will rise up this time, and begins theory crafting the perfect build, talking about dual wielding and flame resistance for dragon dungeons. This guy knows everything, from monster weaknesses to the locations of rare mana stones. He maps out the entire journey in his head all the way to the Demon King's castle until he stops and thinks, "Wait a sec," and it finally hits him. At this rate, maybe I could give being a hero a try. And just like that, a new adventure is about to begin in the most basic starting zone ever. But his journey immediately gets sidetracked by 2 kids just trying to pick raspberries in the woods. With the little girl happily calling out that she has found a whole bush. Her celebration is cut short by a massive, drooling goblin appearing right behind her. It lets out a horrifying shriek, lunging straight for the kill, and the poor girl is completely frozen in terror. But just as it is about to strike, a mysterious mage lands on its head like it is a stepping stone. She does not even waste a second, just screams fire, blasting the monster with a fireball that sends it stumbling back in agony. This goblin is not dead though, and now it is really mad, turning its full attention on her, so she just casually drops a lightning storm on it. This wizard is on a whole different level, completely calm in the middle of her own vortex of destruction. This monster gets absolutely fried, dropping to the ground with a final thud. After saving the kids, they can barely stammer out a thank you, still in total shock. Suddenly, a whole party of adventurers comes rushing in, yelling, "Ms. Wizard." They are all begging her to join their guild, promising they can clear the hardest dungeons with her on the team. You can see the stars in their eyes, they are totally fanning out over her raw power. Her response, a single ice gold scram, which is enough to make the entire group of hardened adventurers wither on the spot. She just stands there, radiating an aura that says, "Do not even think about talking to me." Because she knows the truth. With the Demon King back, monsters are everywhere, and if he is not sealed soon, it is game over for everyone. She is thinking, "I need strong comrades, but all I see are useless novices," until her eyes lock onto something that makes her stop dead in her tracks. It is our boy standing there in a suit of legendary glowing red armor. And this is not just any armor, it is the set of Prickenu, one of the 4 great kings of the demon army. She is completely baffled, wondering how a world boss item ended up in a backwater village. This armor is infamous for making its wearer a walking inferno, completely immune to fire magic. This sheer aura proves it is the real deal, and she cannot help but wonder, just who in the world is he? So she starts reciting the monster's stats from memory, trying to size him up, going on about its aerial combat and fire breathing like a total know-it-all. But our boy just closes his eyes with a confident smirk and hits her with a casual. That is a common misunderstanding, shattering her entire analysis. He explains that the wings are just for tactical maneuvers. The real danger is Prickenu's mastery of the spear. This true terror, he says, is when the demon folds its wings and comes down to the ground to fight. This level of detail leaves the powerful wizard completely stunned and sweating. Her mind is racing. Did this guy actually defeat one of the four great kings? He just smiles and says, as stated, like it is the most obvious thing in the world, because he is literally reading it word for word from the official hero guidebook. She finally realizes the truth. He is not a hero, he is an otaku. We flash back to him as a kid, crying his eyes out in front of the very same armor. He was on his knees begging a shopkeeper because only a true fanboy could ever understand its real value. He is convinced any true fanboy would have done the exact same thing. But she is imagining a grizzled warrior who dedicated his entire life to battle just to earn that armor. In her mind, he is a legendary hero who just got lucky on his first try. So she walks up and asks, "What is your name? Do you need a companion?" Completely ignoring his cat print boxers. He introduces himself as Bince and she is Parsley. Turns out they are both heading for the Demon King's castle. And in that moment, they both think they have hit the jackpot, but for completely different reasons. They clasp hands, united by the same dream, even though they are on totally different planets. But as they start their journey, they are immediately met by a crowd of terrified villagers running for their lives, because a drooling, snarling minotaur has just appeared and it looks hungry. Our boy immediately panics, screaming a monster appeared, while the wizard just looks at him unimpressed. This is not some low-level goblin, it is a massive half-beast minotauros, and the villagers are right in its path. Some random adventurer scoffs. Haha, what an idiot, you are dragging yourself into the tiger's den. This minotaur just gives him a deadpan stare, completely unbothered. It then proceeds to casually pick its nose, flexing on the entire crowd of so-called adventurers. Before asking the most bizarre question, is not it bad to wear the same clothes often? That is all it takes for the entire crowd to break and run, screaming about a man-eating monster. Bince is freaking out, realizing it is way scarier than the guidebook, while Parsley calmly deduces the guards have already been wiped out. In the chaos, a boy is being pulled away, screaming for his family to wait because his little sister is still back there. And we see her, frozen in terror, right in the path of the charging monster. Bince spots her and yells out, but he knows the truth. Hold on, it is too far to run there. Just as things look hopeless, Parsley leaps into action, yelling, "I will take care of that from here," and preparing a massive wind spell. But absolutely nothing happens, leaving her completely confused. She starts panicking, screaming, "Wind, wind, why is not my magic working?" Because she completely missed the giant sign that says this is a no-magic zone. This minotaur just laughs in her face. "Did you really jump in here without knowing the rules, you fool?" Seeing the little girl is still in danger, Bince knows he is the only one who can make it in time, so he takes off like a rocket, screaming, "I am the number one," only to immediately trip and faceplant, sliding across the ground at full speed. In a move of pure unadulterated luck, he scoops up the little girl just as he slides past. He actually managed to save her, but now he is face to face with the monster. And the first thing the girl he rescued says is, "Why are you in your underwear?" Parsley just stares in disbelief at his glorious, sparkling cat print boxers. Her brain immediately goes into overdrive, trying to find a legendary reason for this. She convinces herself he is imitating the Demon King Prickanu, who had a lion's body to enhance the armor's power. Meanwhile, our hero is just happy the girl's raspberries are safe, comparing it to snagging a limited edition item. He then stands between the girl and the minotaur, declaring, "Stay back, everyone. I will take care of this bad monster guy." This dude tries to hit a heroic pose, offering to spare the monster's life, while his legs are shaking so hard they could start an earthquake. This minotaur is not impressed, asking, "Are you mocking me, you little brat? Fine, let us have some fun." Parsley is about to call for backup, but then stops, thinking this is her chance to finally see his true power. But to the little girl he just saved, he is already a real hero, looking up at him in total awe. This little girl, completely starstruck, offers him her most valuable possession, the raspberries she just picked. Which just leaves the minotaur completely and utterly baffled by what is happening, but our boy just strikes a pose, whipping out a bracelet and yelling, "This match I have practically won now," and Parsley immediately freaks out, recognizing the legendary item from a distance. This monster scoffs at the toy, but Bince just hits him with a smug. "As expected, you do not understand." Because according to the hero guide, that is a crystal ring, an artifact used to showcase a hero's true abilities. This minotaur is still totally lost, so Bince just doubles down on the condescension. He slips it on and starts screaming, "Whoa, I can feel the power rising." This whole display is so overwhelmingly cringy that the monster starts panicking, yelling, "Stop it. I hate this atmosphere." So Bince goes for the kill, shouting, "Let us ghoul," as the minotaur literally runs for its life, only for our hero to immediately trip and eat dirt for the second time in 5 minutes. He lands in the most ridiculous pose imaginable, leaving the monster completely stunned. But this was all part of the plan because the real show is about to start. This little girl explains that the bracelet does not give you power, it just reveals your stats through the gem's color. It is basically a glorified mood ring, and our boy's entire power-up was just him role-playing. Parsley is analyzing the color, realizing it is not the blue of a mercenary or the gray of a civilian. No, the color glowing on his wrist is for someone at the absolute bottom of the barrel, weaker than everyone. This gem is pitch black, meaning his stats are literally non-existent, and the minotaur finally gets it, growling, "You little brat, how dare you tease me?" It lunges straight for him as Bince screams that this has to be a prank show. This minotaur snatches him up in a single move, roaring, "Caught you." While Parsley is still on the sidelines, screaming for her magic that will never come. This monster just cackles, holding him up like a trophy and saying, I like adventurers like you. It leans in close, whispering that it loves watching fakers beg for their lives right before it eats them. And our boy's life flashes before his eyes, but his only regret is not getting his limited edition hero figure. Parsley snaps him out of it, yelling, hey newbie, do not panic and stay focused. She is still convinced he is a legendary warrior, shouting that every monster has a weakness he just needs to exploit. That one word, weakness, triggers something in his otaku brain. He remembers the exact page from his hero guidebook, Volume 3, Chapter 3, Minotaur Characteristics, so he looks the monster dead in the eye and says, you are just as described, leaving the Minotaur completely baffled. But inside, he is having a full-blown meltdown, admitting he has never even beaten a slime and once lost an arm wrestling match to a kid. He's only doing this because the girl he likes rejected him 9 times and said she'd only date a hero. This Minotaur roars the answer to his unspoken question. It is because you are stupid. But our boy just smirks, thinking to himself that the Minotaur is the dim-witted one here. And in a flash, he uses the spike on his shoulder armor to jab the monster right in the eye. This Minotaur screams in agony as Bince realizes if he wants to be a hero, this is his first real test. He gets thrown around like a ragdoll as the beast thrashes in pain, but he grits his teeth, enduring the absolute beatdown. Just as he is sent flying, Parsley catches him, calling him Ms. Bince and saying he did a good job. She looks at him with dead serious eyes and says, I am sorry you have to jump into this, but before he cuts her off, kneeling down and declaring, I will be the one to take on that Minotauros. This ground cracks as the beast stomps its hoof, roaring down at him with pure rage. You little prick, I am really angry now. But our boy just hits him with the ultimate taunt, calling him a punching bag weaker than a slime. He keeps laying it on thick, asking if the jokes are too advanced for a dull-witted cow. Then he just takes off running, yelling that with that speed, the monster could never even buy limited edition merch. He's completely gassed, barely able to ask you still, have not caught up, only for the monster to appear right behind him, whispering, just about to catch and devour you though. It opens its massive jaws, screaming adios. And this is it, he is done for. But just as it is about to chomp down, mysterious vines wrap around its body. Because Parsley just unleashed a massive thunder spell from outside the no-magic zone, absolutely wrecking the beast. This Minotaur is floored, coughing, your magic, how? While she just looks on, completely unfazed. It is so defeated it asks if she is telling it to leave, but she is like, no, that is not what I mean. She reveals the plan. Bince was just the bait to lure it to a place where she could use her magic. And it worked perfectly because, as she points out, they are not in the village anymore. Bince realizes his guidebook was right. Getting the Minotaur excited narrows its focus, and he used that to lead it right into her trap. He collapses, admitting he has not run that hard since he was trying to get some rare merch. Parsley just offers him her hand, completely in awe of his tactics. In her mind, his swift strategic sense and vast knowledge prove he is a one-of-a-kind genius. She takes his hand, asking, was not today's battle good? Completely sold on the idea that he is a legendary hero, she looks at him, saying, we seem to get along quite well as comrades. And our boy is just soaking it all in, feeling like a true hero for the first time. But Parsley seems a little hung up on that word, comrades, when suddenly the Minotaur gets back up, screaming, it is over, you newbie bastard, and smacks him out of nowhere. It starts monologuing about how pathetic he is, completely ignoring his offer of a free hero keychain. This monster warns her that hanging with a weakling is pointless, but she screams for Bince to watch out, because she just took the hit meant for him, pushing him out of the way at the last second. Her hand hits the dirt as she collapses to the ground, leaving Bince completely frozen as he watches her fall to protect him. Parsley's vision blurs, her last thought being that she managed to save him. But our boy is already having a meltdown, thinking she is dead and he is in heaven now. That is when the Minotaur reveals its final trick, yelling, you rascal, I have planted my crystal in you. It gloats that the crystal will slowly work its way to his heart and then he will die. This is not just any rock, it is a crystal of evil, a tool created by the Demon King himself. When a human touches it, their soul gets corrupted until they transform into a wicked monster. Bince starts panicking, realizing he is about to become the very thing he swore to fight, and the Minotaur is loving it, promising to make him a personal slave to torment for all eternity. But Parsley gets up and starts absolutely wailing on the beast with her staff, demanding it change him back. This monster is getting beaten so badly it starts apologizing, begging her to stop. It finally spills the beans. The crystal is just a small piece, so he will not die right away. He's got about 3 months. This Minotaur, still on its knees, shouts that there is a solution, telling them to listen up. But it is Parsley who drops the bombshell. Within the remaining 3 months, you have to defeat the Demon King. This monster adds that is all it knows before literally yeeting itself out of there, yelling so goodbye. Leaving our boy completely catatonic, his brain having officially blue-screened. He spirals into a full-blown panic attack, worrying about his pre-ordered merch and the fact that past heroes took 5 years to win. Parsley just walks up to the sobbing mess on the floor and tells him, get up. She looks down at him and declares, it is because of me you became like this, so I will take responsibility. Her eyes are burning with resolve as she says, let us go defeat the Demon King. And just like that, our boy's despair vanishes, replaced by pure joy as he asks if she will seal it with a kiss. He's now prancing through the woods, singing about their grand adventure while she follows, probably regretting everything. This dude is already fantasizing about epic loot and meeting rich, powerful party members. Parsley tries to change the subject, asking how a guy like him even became an adventurer in the first place. She opens up explaining she was influenced by her parents who were also wandering adventurers. Her father was a legendary warrior and her mother a powerful mage, but they never cared for fame. They used their strength to selflessly protect the weak and help those in poor villages. But the story takes a dark turn as she reveals they were killed by monsters when she was just a kid. She immediately cringes, muttering that she overshared and starts sniffling, which sends Binz into a panic, trying to comfort her while apologizing for his own selfish rambling. He feels like a total fool for acting like a child, but she just tells him it is okay. She tries to brush it off, saying her life was not that hard because I am quite strong, you know. She looks him dead in the eye and asks, "We are comrades, right? Shall we start speaking more comfortably?" And our boy is absolutely beaming, barely able to get out a yeah. They shake on it, sealing their partnership as the story declares their long journey has just begun. But the very next panel throws that entire idea out the window, showing a massive horde of monsters, because Parsley just casually announces, "We have arrived, let us go now to the Demon King." Binz is having a full-blown meltdown, screaming that they have barely crossed the starting line. She just hits him with the cold logic. "What does that matter? Our goal was the Demon King's castle, was not it?" He panics, saying he does not even have a weapon, but she just tells him, "That is not a problem." Her eyes go dark as she begins to chant, gathering an insane amount of magical energy. She unleashes a massive earthquake spell, wiping out an entire legion of monsters in a single shot. With a stone-cold expression, she declares, "I will defeat the monsters." She then lays out the master plan, and it is exactly what you think it is. Binz's job is to lure every single enemy while she goes straight for the Demon King. She calls it the Demon King's Castle speedrun operation, leaving Binz to wonder if this is even fair. A short while later, he is standing on a mountain of monster corpses, his soul completely checked out. Parsley just tosses him some goblin pants, telling him to put them on for more armor. He complains that it is basically underwear, but she just yells at him to put it on. But the second he does, that crystal of evil on his gauntlet starts to glow. A system window pops up, showing his defense just increased by 5 points, and they both realize at the same time, this is the real power of the crystal ring. It visualizes his stats, and Parsley realizes that a 5-point boost from a single piece of gear is insane for higher-level monsters. Binz is confused, wondering why his other cool armor did not work, but she just hits him with the cold truth. "That is because you are too weak to unleash the power of special gear." She explains that legendary items only activate for skilled warriors, and for a nobody like him, it is just cosplaying at best, which sends our boy into a spiral over the legendary art of cosplay. She tosses him a weapon, but he is starting to have second thoughts, asking if it is really okay for just the two of them to take on the whole castle. Parsley admits that even for her, fighting the 4 great kings and their armies is impossible, but there is a way. Binz's heart starts pounding, thinking she's about to reveal some galaxy brain strategy, her master plan. "From now on we are going through the back gate," so they find the back entrance and try to pull the lever. But it will not budge, and she yells of course it will not. She cannot believe he came all this way without knowing the castle is cursed and cannot be opened by ordinary means. But our boy just whips out his guidebook, explaining that any hero geek knows you need 5 blessed gemstones to get in. He is mid-lecture when suddenly they both freeze. A voice from above mocks them. "Oh my, looks like some little mice have sneaked in here." This new guy smirks, asking, "Who am I, you ask?" But he is immediately cut off by a massive energy blast to the face. And it was not Parsley who attacked, it was Binz who just says, "I am too lazy to explain. Let me just kill you instead." He fires another shot as Parsley screams his name, completely shocked. This smoke clears, revealing Binz on his knees, his attack having done absolutely nothing. And the new enemy stands there, completely unfazed, looking down at our boy's failed attempt. He grits his teeth, tears streaming down his face as he pours every last ounce of power into his attack. This enemy just stands there, mockingly declaring himself Binz's arch-nemesis. And our boy lets out a final desperate scream, charging headfirst into oblivion. He is left completely drained on the ground as the new guy looks down, calling him a pitiful sight. But then this dude gets weirdly close, whispering, "You are exactly the type I like. Do you want to be my subordinate?" He introduces himself as Akasha, one of the 4 great kings who serves the Demon King, and a vampire who loves peace. Binz is losing his mind, yelling, "Peace, my foot, then what was that attack just now?" Akasha just looks down at his feet, completely silent for a moment, before bowing and hitting him with the most unexpected line, "I am sorry, the attack was clearly my mistake." He explains it was just instinct, and if he'd known Binz was a comrade, he would not have attacked. Our boy is completely baffled, realizing this demon general is not lying, as Akasha points out how strange this all is. He insists he is sincere, saying he wants to live in peace with humans and only join the Demon King to get the power to do it. Binz's brain starts short-circuiting, realizing this guy could have ended him but chose not to. What is his real goal? That is when Parsley chimes in, guessing he is planning to be an ally who betrays them later, calling it a super popular plot. She turns to ask Binz for his opinion, but he is just completely silent. Our boy is just standing there trying to process the absolute insanity of this situation. Akasha leans in again, but this time he points to Binz's hip, asking that thing. It is the 15th hero keyring, is not it? Binz absolutely loses it, screaming, "How did you know?" Admitting he had no idea what it was. Akasha just smiles, explaining one of his subordinates is a massive hero otaku, so he got into it too. And then he pulls out his own keychain, proudly showing it off like a true fan. Vince is totally starstruck, realizing Akasha is not just a fan, he is a hardcore collector with a rare pre-order bonus and declares there are no bad guys among otakus. But then Akasha's whole vibe shifts and he gets dead serious, asking why humanity is forced to live by the rules of this suffocating world. He goes on a full-blown philosophical rant about the meaningless cycle of birth, labor, and death, concluding that the only true path for humanity is to shatter this reality and build a new one. And then he completely ruins the moment by admitting, "That is what my subordinate believes, who has to line up at 1 a.m. for merch." He gets uncomfortably close, detailing the pain of spending a month's salary on a random draw and being treated like a loser just for being an otaku, which hits way too close to home for Vince, who flashes back to his own family and friends judging him. Akasha suddenly sweeps him up into a dramatic embrace, surrounded by hearts and sparkles. He leans in close, whispering, "You are really," before ripping off his mask to reveal a handsome vampire face, licking his lips as he says, "A good boy, huh?" His eyes glow with a predatory light and the situation just went from weird to extremely uncomfortable, but Parsley has seen enough, grabbing Akasha's arm and yelling at Vince, "You damn fanboy, live in reality, would ya?" And without a second's hesitation, she unleashes a massive storm barrage spell right at the demon general. Vince is just blushing on the ground, completely oblivious as if he was just rescued by his knight in shining armor. Akasha is blown back, completely shocked that Parsley took a direct hit from his attack and is still standing. She just smirks, revealing her armor is so powerful it has defense points, making his attack useless. Vince pops up thanking her for drawing the aggro and she is just like, "Of course I noticed you were still alive." He then breaks the fourth wall, saying the partner cannot die in just 4 episodes and she has to tell him to stop talking like that. Akasha gets to his feet, realizing he was tricked, but Parsley just says she was trying to help. She looks him dead in the eye and declares that since he is one of the 4 great kings, she will just defeat him right here, right now. Akasha floats in the air, ready for the fight of his life, but Parsley is not even flinching. That is when Vince cuts in, screaming, "Hold on, that guy is not one of the 4 great kings." Parsley just calmly confirms it, saying she knew something was off because he is missing the magic stone of life, which is one of 5 legendary magic stones that are said to hold power comparable to the gods. These things are a double-edged sword, granting immense power to both the righteous and the wicked. Akasha just shrugs it off, claiming he is a pacifist and that stealing things is just too bothersome. Vince absolutely loses it, yelling that they need those 5 stones to even navigate the cursed castle. He calls Akasha a cream bun without any filling, a gacha with only 3-star cards, basically a total waste of time, and in that instant our heroes share a look of perfect understanding. Parsley immediately grabs Vince and just makes a run for it. She yells back that there is no point wasting time on a boss who does not even have the main quest item. Akasha is left completely speechless, watching them just ditch him. He gets absolutely furious, screaming, "Are they gonna disrespect their master and run away?" as he unleashes his true power. A massive attack called Eruption of Pleasure comes hurtling right towards them. They are sprinting for their lives as Parsley yells that they are almost outside the castle's barrier. They barely make it out, completely exhausted and gasping for air. But Parsley gets her legs pinned under the closing gate, trapping her completely. She is trying to get Vince's attention, but he is still in his own world, lecturing about the castle's history. She is literally begging him to hit the switch, but our boy is too busy explaining the lore of the magic stones. He finally finishes, says, "Alright, let us go," and Parsley just has to ask, "Vince, could you wait for a moment?" He finally realizes they have come full circle and now have to hunt down the magic stones, which are held by the kingdom's exclusive knights. But instead of despair, our boy is absolutely buzzing, excited to meet his hero idols and already knowing the closest one is in the Forest of Elves. Parsley is weirded out by his encyclopedic knowledge, but he gets super defensive, insisting his research from guidebooks and interviews is not stalking. She changes the subject, telling him he is filthy and they need an in, but he is just offended, claiming he used floral-scented shampoo. Her face suddenly turns dead serious and she tells him, "Wait, it is not about being dirty, this is," she drops the bombshell. His body has already been corrupted by evil from Akasha's attack. And just like that, their great escape from the castle turns into a brand new life-or-death crisis. This corruption is spreading, and as our hero faces this new threat, the perspective suddenly shifts. We are now inside the Demon King's castle where monsters are, doing chores. A commanding voice is ordering them around, telling them where to put groceries and weapons. A little devil timidly reports that he has finished cleaning a room, and the person in charge is none other than Princess Mint of the Herb Kingdom, who is just casually ordering demons to clean the ceilings. This Demon King's 3-headed Cerberus commander storms in, demanding to know what she is doing, and she just says, "Cannot you see, I am cleaning this decrepit castle." He absolutely loses it, grabbing her and yelling, "Who told you to make my subordinates do your work?" But this princess is built different, slapping him across the face and calling him an insolent creature. This commander is left reeling, wondering why she is so strong, and complaining he cannot even bow his heads in gratitude properly. She goes on a full-blown tirade about how disgusting the castle is, pointing out all the dust and cobwebs. She shows him the rotting food and rusty weapons, asking if he is just going to let his people die of illness and starvation. Cerberus roars back, "Shut up, if we need food we raid villages, that is what monsters do." But the princess just calmly asks, "So you let your subordinates be like that?" As he turns to look at his adorable puppy-like underlings, Cerberus starts sweating, trying to explain. "Ah, it is not like that, Captain, because his fearsome subordinates are just 3 sickly demon puppies who admit they are too weak to even hunt." This princess just roasts him, calling him a captain who does not even know the state of his own men. Defeated, he asks what he can do and she just orders him to go organize the armory since he is strong. So how did a hostage princess end up conquering the entire Demon King's castle? The story rewinds to explain. We jump back 5 years to the day it all began. Princess Mint introduces herself as the unfortunate princess, kidnapped by the Demon King and trapped in his castle. Except trapped apparently means chilling in her pajamas with snacks and video games, waiting for a hero to show up. She is just munching on a snack, wondering what all the noise is outside, when 2 goblins burst in, screaming that the Demon King has been defeated. These monsters are panicking, but the princess just realizes her ride home has finally arrived. These goblins get a brilliant idea, take the princess hostage and ransom her for their retirement fund. She plays the part perfectly, screaming for her hero to come and save her. And right on cue, a blade flashes through the air, taking down the goblins in an instant. She looks up, completely stunned, as her rescuer stands over the defeated monster. A hand reaches out to her, pulling her from the ground. Her knight in shining armor sweeps her into his arms, asking if she is all right. She is completely starstruck, blushing as she stammers, "Mr. Hero." This narrator explains the kingdom's tradition. The hero marries the princess and becomes the new king. But this hero just looks down and hits her with the most unexpected line, "But I do not wanna." This entire royal court is left speechless, with the king barely able to ask, "Well, what did you say?" But the hero just scratches his head and casually repeats, "Did not I say I do not want to get married?" This princess is completely baffled. He does not want the throne or the money, so why did he even bother? Her father is absolutely losing it, screaming about how he is defying the entire country's expectations. And this man's reason is just legendary. He is busy because the roller cup is starting and needs to catch the finals. He just dips, leaving the entire kingdom in stunned silence. And just like that, Princess Mint became infamous, branded as the bride rejected by the hero. This news spreads like wildfire, and suddenly no noble or prince wants anything to do with the flawed princess. She is absolutely devastated, crying in bed that she was just minding her own business when this guy ruined her life. But that despair quickly turns into something else entirely as she picks up a book on political science. She dives headfirst into her studies, learning what it truly means to be a ruler for the people, and declares to the world, "I do not need marriage, I am more than enough to rule this kingdom on my own." So while other girls her age were chasing romance, she was building an empire of knowledge. Which brings us back to the present, 5 years later, where she has been captured again, but this time is different. With her newfound political insight, she sees the Demon King's castle not as a prison, but as a broken system she can fix. She smirks, realizing this is the perfect practice ground to hone her skills before taking over her own kingdom. But as she is plotting her political takeover, a creepy doll-like hand reaches out from the shadows. She is suddenly snatched up by a massive mannequin monster, who whispers in her ear, "Where are you going, princess? It is time to go back to your room." This creature just scolds her for her bad manners as she struggles helplessly in its grasp. This Demon King's right-hand puppeteer, Seth, is absolutely losing his mind over the changes. He storms up to Cerberus, screaming, "Who told you to clear out the castle without His Majesty's permission?" Cerberus tries to blame the princess, but Seth shuts him down, reminding him he is not in a position to make decisions. While the commanders bicker, Mint is in the background, already running the entire demon army like a well-oiled machine. And this is where it gets serious, because no one knew just how much her reforms would change the world. This princess herself is locked away, looking out at the chaos she has created. But her story is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, because at that very moment Binz is completely losing it from Akasha's corruption, begging Parsley to save him. She's dragged him all the way to the Forest of Elves, and finally she asks, "So we made it." They have arrived at the one place that can wash away the evil coursing through Binz's veins. Parsley explains that the Demon King's castle is just saturated with evil energy, and anyone without holy protection gets corrupted, which is exactly what happened to our boy. With Binz on the verge of a full-blown breakdown, she tells him they need to find the Spring of Blessing. This legendary spring is said to be a gift from the gods themselves, a place so pure it can heal any ailment and purify any evil. But there is a catch: it is heavily guarded by elves who do not take kindly to outsiders. Binz, ever the nerd, starts reading from a guidebook about its other effects like curing acne and diarrhea. Parsley warns him that the elf spring keeper is super strict about keeping the place clean, and just as Binz asks if she means that archer, they spot the keeper, washing his filthy feet right in the sacred water. This dude is literally scrubbing his nasty feet in the holy water, bragging about how it cures his athlete's foot. Parsley is absolutely disgusted, refusing to go in, but Binz tells her they just have to suck it up. Our boy gets a little too confident, thinking this guy looks sloppy and that he could probably take him down. But the elf's expression suddenly turns deadly serious. He has heard them. He instantly unleashes a massive lightning attack, screaming, "Who goes there?" sending a million volts crashing down right where they were hiding. As the dust settles, a foot lands firmly on the ground. This knight just scoffs to himself, thinking only someone with a death wish would challenge him here, until he turns and sees our two heroes just standing there, having rushed out to fight. He immediately fires another volley of lightning arrows and Bince literally screams, "Pika Pika." Parsley is panicking, yelling at him to put up a shield now, but Bince, his eyes glowing red from the corruption, screams back, "I cannot." Parsley realizes in horror that she cannot use her shield either as the arrows close in. This entire area is engulfed in a massive electrical explosion. This elf knight just smirks, hitting them with the coldest line, "Foolish creatures, you walked into hell and now you will go back as ashes." But a voice roars back, "No, we will not," because Bince is standing there, using his spear as a lightning rod to absorb the entire attack. This absolute nerd remembered from his encyclopedia that lightning arrows home in on steel armor. This knight is genuinely surprised, admitting, "So you are not completely stupid after all." However, before Parsley blasts him from behind with a massive fireball, Parsley unleashes a massive wall of flame, thinking she's got him for sure, but the elf just scoffs. "A nature-type attack, you really underestimated elves." Parsley starts panicking, yelling at Bince to do something, anything. But he just screams back that he is self-taught and only knows basic nature spells. And when the story shows us his magic knowledge, it is literally just basic piano, art, and math. This dude knows nothing. Parsley has a horrifying realization: this guy is not some op protagonist, he is just a nerd, which means they are absolutely screwed as the elf draws another lightning arrow. He hits them with the coldest ultimatum: "You will pay for defiling this spring with your lives." But Parsley is not backing down, declaring, "There is no way to stop me," when suddenly, a phone starts ringing, completely killing the vibe. This terrifying elf knight just answers his phone and goes full baby talk. "Oh, is that my baby calling daddy?" Turns out this dude is just a working dad, promising to bring home snacks after he is done murdering them. He tries to juggle being a threatening guardian and a loving father, but eventually has to hang up, leaving everyone in the most awkward silence imaginable. He tells them he will be back in 5 minutes and not to run away before poofing out of there. With the psycho dad gone, the coast is finally clear, and Bince does not waste a single second, diving straight into the holy water. He instantly feels the evil energy washing away, but Parsley has a more important question: can it purify evil shards? She immediately shuts that down, explaining the spring only cleans surface-level corruption. And as Bince floats there defeated, she starts to realize just how useless this guy actually is. She is connecting the dots. He is not some seasoned adventurer, he is a brand new rookie who just happens to have a lot of mana. And as she flexes her own muscles, she realizes she is probably way stronger than him. Bince just floats there, accepting his fate with a fast surrender. But with the corruption gone, he is back in his armor, telling Parsley to lead them to the elf forest to find their next party member. Except they are immediately and completely lost. Parsley asks him where their target's house is, and he gets super defensive, yelling, "I told you I am not a stalker," before cheerfully admitting he has no idea where they are, which makes Parsley lose her mind. So Bince pulls out his trusty hero guide and starts reading up on the guy they are supposed to find. His name is Masasu Khan, a legendary elven member of the 15th Heroes Party. This dude is a master of speed and sensitivity, wielding a handmade magic gun. This book calls him an untouchable trendsetter, a genius warrior and craftsman who will lead the new era. Bince is getting hyped, realizing this is the absolute legend they need on their team, but when they finally arrive, it is not some high-tech fortress, it is just a quiet little farm. And they are immediately greeted by an old elf screaming, "How dare you stink up this place with human smell?" His daughter just wheels him away, apologizing for her grandpa's classic elf racism. This is not the epic, closed-off elf kingdom they were expecting. This whole place is just a quiet, homey village, leaving Parsley completely baffled, when suddenly they overhear a mother yelling at her son, "When are you ever going to get married?" She's absolutely tearing into him for being a lazy bum who never leaves the house, and Bince has a horrifying realization: so elves live just like me. This son just whines back that he gets a hero's pension from the kingdom, so he does not need a job. But as Bince hears the word hero, he realizes this lazy bum is the legend they are looking for. He pulls out the guidebook, and yup, the legendary warrior is the same dude getting yelled at by his mom. This so-called legend just awkwardly greets them, completely caught in the act. He looks them over and says, "Wow, a hero, been a while," standing in front of a literal armory. This dude is completely lost in nostalgia, bragging about how he has just been chilling since beating the Demon King 5 years ago. Bince tries to be respectful, thanking him for his service, but Parsley is already over it. She literally shoves him forward, forcing him to just get to the point already. So Bince goes full otaku mode, gushing about Khan's interviews and his custom magic stone weapons, and it works. Khan lights up, realizing he has found a fellow nerd and offers to show off his new model, but Parsley cuts right through the fanboy moment, asking if he has heard about the Demon King's revival. She hits him with the straight-up request, "We are going to defeat the Demon King in 3 months, we need your strength." Bince is absolutely losing his mind, fanboying over the idea of teaming up with his idol, but Khan just gives them a weak smile and says, "Sorry, but that is a bit." Before he can even finish rejecting them, Bince is already demanding to know why. When suddenly, Khan's mom bursts in with a plate of fruit, acting like they are his best friends. She is just so happy her shut-in son finally has visitors, begging them to be nice to him despite his messy room. She then gives them a thumbs up, telling them she is totally cool with a dual marriage to get her son out of the house, before kicking them out into the yard so she can have a talk with him, leaving our heroes standing outside, completely baffled by this entire situation, and Bince's idealized image of the legendary hero is officially and completely shattered. Bince is still in denial, whining, "But the Lord Khan I knew was supposed to be this cool trendsetter." Parsley just hits him with the cold hard truth, telling him he is the one who built up this fake image in his head. But our boy is having a full-on meltdown, crying about his ultra-handsome, stylish hero, who turned out to be nothing more than a shut-in bum uncle, when suddenly a massive dragon swoops down out of nowhere and snatches him. He is literally getting airlifted, screaming for Parsley as he is carried away. Parsley is panicking, worried he is about to use an area attack that will take her out too. But the shut-in bum is suddenly a hero, pointing his gun and yelling, "Get back." He starts blasting away at the dragon holding Bince, making our boy realize with horror that he is the one being shot at. A magic bullet grazes his cheek as the dragon desperately tries to evade. This beast roars in pain and Bince is freaking out, realizing a bullet just missed his face by an inch. This dragon drops him, sending him plummeting back to Earth, but Khan swoops in at the last second, catching him with a casual safe. This problem is the dragon was not alone, it brought a whole squad of allies. Khan tells them to hang back while he gets an AL weapon, but Parsley just says, "It is fine this time," cause she is powering up, her eyes glowing as she declares, "Area attacks are fine too." She unleashes a massive vortex of flame orbs, completely engulfing the entire dragon squadron. This girl is on a whole other level, effortlessly controlling a massive inferno, and Khan is just standing there, stunned, realizing, wow, so defeating the Demon King in 3 months was not a lie. After that insane display, Khan just awkwardly apologizes for the dragon attack, but Bince is already back in fanboy mode, gushing, No, I got to see your shooting skills, that was awesome." He is practically begging, "You are the only one who can use that magic gun, you have to take down the Demon King with us." Khan just sweats, admitting, "I appreciate the hype, but to be honest, when I think about the party back then, I was basically just along for the ride." And with that one sentence, Bince's entire world shatters. Parsley cuts in, saying they did not come to recruit him anyway, she is after the blessed magic stones the old heroes used. Khan remembers them and Parsley lays out her plan. "Yeah, those, if we just borrowed that we could head back cleanly." But the legendary hero just stammers out, I do not have it." He explains that all his old gear just vanished, probably does not even exist in this world anymore. And we get a flashback to his glory days, dual-wielding against a massive spider demon, an absolute legend in action. But the reality was a nightmare, with him screaming, "Damn it, no matter how many I kill, the monsters just keep coming." He was completely overwhelmed with a terrifying monster queen looming right over him. Just as he is about to be taken out, a calm voice cuts through the chaos, telling him to stop making such a scene. It was the actual hero of the party, a knight who effortlessly drew all the aggro, saving his ass. Back in the present, Khan reveals the real reason he cannot help. "Thing is, I used to run a business. And in case you were wondering how that went, it completely went under." He tried to use his fame to make magic guns mainstream, but the production costs were just way too high for regular humans. He could not find investors, ran out of cash, and had to sell off everything he owned just to stay afloat. So now the only thing this legendary hero can offer them is a single, expensive-looking gun. Parsley is so done with this guy she just snatches the gun, looking deeply pissed off. But Khan immediately freaks out, warning her, "Be careful, it'll explode if you put too much mana in." And just when you think it cannot get more awkward, his mom yells from the window for him to come scrub her back. This legendary hero just makes a run for it, completely mortified, offering them spare parts on his way out. Parsley has had enough, telling Bince, "Pack up, we are leaving," but our boy is confused, asking about the gun, so she just points it right at his face to make a point. Explaining her mana is the blow everything up type, totally incompatible with a delicate weapon like this. Bince tries to take it, but the second he touches it, his massive mana pool makes the gun start leaking and breaking down. And now it all makes sense. The guns are useless for anyone with actual power, which is why his business failed. Bince is crushed, muttering, "Lord Khan, I am so disappointed, you'd just be a burden to us." But here is the real kicker. Parsley did not even need Khan himself, she was after the stone of wisdom he possessed. See, everyone believed you needed all 5 blessed magic stones to even get into the Demon King's castle. That is exactly what the last hero party did 5 years ago, gathering all 5 before their assault. But ancient records revealed a secret. A much older party beat the Demon King without collecting all the stones. This led to a new theory that the castle is split into zones and each stone is a key to a specific area, which means you do not need all 5 keys, you just need the one that opens the final boss room. It is a literal speedrun strategy. So Parsley and her nerd squad crunched the numbers, analyzing over 87,000 possibilities to find the right keys. Their conclusion: they only needed 2, the Stone of Wisdom and the Stone of Justice, with Wisdom being the master key. And the legendary hero, Masasu Khan, sold that priceless world-saving artifact like a cheap souvenir. With fakes flooding the market, finding the real one is impossible, meaning their entire plan is completely screwed. But just when all hope seems lost, it turns out the Stone of Wisdom was way closer than they thought, because his mom literally yanks it out of his pants while he jokes about being a terrible son. Binz absolutely loses it, screaming, "You had the magic stone this whole time." But Khan just plays dumb, acting like he had no idea what it was, making Parsley wonder if he was lying just to keep it. She is so done her soul literally leaves her body, but she pulls it together to ask for the stone. And this bum actually hits them with a quest: "Help me get a job and it is yours." So they instantly make him a field guard and boom, quest complete. Parsley is just baffled by the pacing, yelling, "Do you realize your forgetfulness just wasted 2/3 of this chapter?" But Khan tries to back out, claiming a field guard is not a real job, so no reward for them. Vince just points out how pitiful it is for a former hero to be doing guard duty. When he notices Parsley is completely silent, just sulking in the corner. Realizing his fan is crushed, Khan tries to cheer her up by showing off his gear. He pulls out the target tracking gun he used on the dragon, trying to look cool, and then to really impress her, he reveals his next masterpiece, a gun that gives you instant diarrhea. Yeah, you heard that right. Parsley is so weirded out she starts backing away, yelling that none of this is funny. She finally snaps, screaming at him, "What even are you? A so-called hero making me live like a jobless bum? Cannot you act like a proper adult for once?" She lands the final blow, calling him pathetic, and you can see it hits him hard. He just gives a broken smile and admits, "Haha, you are right, I really am pathetic and I know it." He apologizes for dragging her into this mess and tells them to go inside, leaving him alone in the cold field. After that heavy moment, Parsley turns to Binz, who is still pouting, and asks, "Feel better now?" But he is still completely broken, whining, "Of course not, I am overflowing with betrayal here, how could that be, Lord Khan?" She just roasts him, asking if his little fanbook mentioned that the real Khan is just a dude who gets nagged by his mom. Binz fires back that it is a hero guidebook, a record of his journey, not some personal diary. But she hits him with the cold hard truth, pointing out that he is still a strong hero and nothing about that has changed. She lays into him, "You read a few lines in a book and you think you can claim you know everything about a person." And that one line just shatters Binz's entire worldview, leaving him speechless. It finally clicks. This was the first real conversation he has ever had with Khan, yet he was so sure he knew him. He realizes he was completely in the wrong and stands up, declaring, "I have to apologize to Lord Khan." With a new fire in his eyes, he sprints off into the dark field, screaming his hero's name. But what he finds is Khan getting absolutely swarmed by a bunch of weird blue crop-thieving monsters. Both he and Parsley just stare in utter shock at the ridiculous scene. These monsters start carrying Khan away, and Binz starts screaming for him all over again, literally crying his eyes out as his hero gets abducted for the second time in one day. He tries to give chase, but the creatures are way too fast, pulling Khan deeper into the crops. Binz collapses, completely out of breath, as Parsley realizes these must be the crop thieves she has heard about, and now she is the one panicking, thinking, "This is bad because I said all that, Lord Khan." That is when she spots something he left behind, a magic bag that holds way more than it looks. She knows Khan is skilled, but her heart sinks when she realizes he put all of his weapons inside it, which means the legendary hero is out there completely unarmed, making this a genuine life-or-death situation, and Parsley is absolutely crushed, spiraling into guilt, thinking, "It is all my fault, it is all because of me." But Binz just walks up and hits her with the coldest comfort ever. "Yeah, it is your fault." He tells her to get over it. "If you are going to despair, do it fast, then think about what you are going to do next." His brutal honesty actually works, snapping her out of it as she resolves to do whatever she can. She starts racking her brain, trying to remember any otaku trope that could help them find a missing person. Suddenly, she gets a brilliant idea from an old hero's tale about using clothes as a catalyst to track someone, before immediately suggesting a much more logical plan, like summoning a familiar to track Khan's scent, or even using a past vision spell, but Binz just screams at her to stop overthinking it. She snaps back that she can only use simple magic, and anything cooler would get censored by the ratings board. Binz starts panicking again about Khan being unarmed, which is when he gets a flash of inspiration about his weapon. A little later, Parsley is looking super skeptical, asking, "Do you really think this plan is going to work?" She points out the obvious flaw. "You saw what happens. If I use that gun, it is guaranteed to explode." But Binz is all smiles, saying that is the whole point, while also making it clear he is not taking the blame if Khan gets mad. Parsley reluctantly agrees, thinking if it works, Khan will be happy, so she steals her nerves. And their master plan is to use Parsley as a human cannon, with Binz holding her as she fires the gun behind them. This recoil launches them forward like a freaking rocket, and somehow it actually worked. They are moving so fast Parsley can barely handle it, but Binz is somehow keeping up with the insane speed. He even activates a special move, the Otaku Sprint, all for the sake of saving his hero. Parsley is completely floored by his speed, wondering what his stats are even at. Turns out he is wearing a pair of shoes they ripped off a vampire, letting him run way beyond his limits. Binz is still thinking, "I really should get properly outfitted sometime." As Parsley lands in the woods, yelling that Khan definitely flew in this direction, she's now stuck carrying a completely knocked out Binz, trying to figure out where the hell they are. After searching everywhere, she calls out for Khan, but gets no answer, only finding one of his glowing bullets. But then the bullet starts talking, with Khan's voice coming through. "Hello, can you hear me? This is Khan, do you copy?" Parsley freaks out, asking where he is, and he tells her he is trapped in a bright cave somewhere nearby. Turns out one of his comms bullets flew in earlier and he is using its mana to contact them. He even thanks Parsley for her plan, which was really just a desperate, explosive gamble that happened to work. She is still confused since there are no caves around, but realizes he must be close if the weak signal is working. She asks if there is a hidden mechanism, and Binz, who is finally awake, spots something. It is a giant red button with a sign that says absolutely. Do not press, so of course he knows this is it. He slams the button and a secret entrance grinds open in the rock face. Inside, they find Khan tied up alongside two little kids looking completely helpless. Binz rushes in, screaming his hero's name, ready for the big rescue, and Khan is ecstatic, yelling back, "You came to save me?" Except now they are all tied up with Parsley deadpenning. "No, we got caught too." They ran right into a monster. This three of them just sit there in the most awkward silence imaginable. Finally, Binz breaks the tension, turning to his hero to say, Lord Khan, about before, I am sorry." He admits he was short-sighted, but Khan just smiles, telling him, "You were right that I have been living pretty pathetically." Binz tries to take it back, but Khan just brushes it off, leaving our boy feeling even more guilty than before. Parsley starts analyzing the cave, realizing it is artificial and wondering why these dragons would even build it. That is when she spots a larger, sickly dragon surrounded by the stolen crops, guessing it must be their mother. So the whole crop thieving thing was just to feed their injured mom, a surprisingly wholesome motive for monsters. But this wholesome moment is ruined by the two terrified kids, with the older one trying to keep the little girl quiet, which raises a very dark question. Why are these kids tied up here in the first place? And her blood runs cold as she spots a pile of human skeletons tucked away in the corner. Suddenly, those cute blue creatures do not look so cute anymore, revealing a horrifying maw of razor-sharp teeth. A closer look at its eye reveals a twisted evil symbol, confirming this is something far more sinister. Parsley finally puts it together, yelling, "Those are not normal dragons, they are massacre dragons infected by evil." She realizes the only reason they are being kept alive is to be used as ingredients, to create evil crystals. Now everyone knows these crystals are born from wicked hearts, but that is not the whole story. This true recipe requires intense negative emotions like fear, pain, and despair to be crystallized into power. But normal monsters cannot do that, so how are these things managing to farm pure evil? There's only one horrifying explanation that makes any sense. A high-class demon cast a powerful evil crystallization spell over this entire area, turning it into a factory. He corrupted the monsters, turning them into mindless slaughterers to do his dirty work. They are being kept alive to be milked for their despair, all to create more of these cursed crystals. Parsley realizes with dread that they definitely were not the first victims to be brought here. She looks over at the terrified children, knowing they have been suffering this fate for who knows how long. And her face twists with pure, unadulterated rage because this just got personal. Fueled by pure rage, Parsley tries to cast a spell, but the ropes are way too strong. She turns to Khan, yelling, "We have to get out of here fast." But he is just shocked they even have a chance. "But there is a catch," she explains, pointing to the ceiling. "We cannot just leave those evil crystals for some demon to find." And to top it all off, she drops the bomb that those cute little dragons are actually man-eaters. Khan's brain just short-circuits from the info dump, leaving him completely lost. He asks if Binz is gonna handle it, and our boy just hits him with a confident thumbs up, ready to be a hero. Parsley just scoffs, telling them to stay put and watch a real pro at work. This little massacre dragons are actually starting to look a little nervous now. With a look of pure deadly intent, she starts gathering her mana. Her body erupts in flames as she prepares to unleash a powerful fire spell. She starts doing this ridiculous magical girl pose, which just leaves everyone speechless. Only to realize the monsters took her staff, leaving her completely powerless as they close in. Khan screams a warning as one of the dragons lunges right for them, but Parsley spins around, ready for what she calls a non-lethal takedown. These creatures are surprisingly agile, dodging her every move while she curses them for avoiding a direct fight. She realizes it is a stalemate. If they only dodge, they cannot attack either. Or so she thought, because the dragons just grin with those horrifying teeth. Suddenly, the ones on the ceiling spit down a torrent of thick, yellow goo. Khan looks up in horror, realizing it is not just goo. It is a freaking landslide. Parsley screams for everyone to move as the sticky trap comes raining down on them. Parsley's eyes widen in sheer disbelief as the cave itself starts to collapse on them. This goo forces them down a fork in the tunnel, splitting the party up in the chaos. Khan, Binz, and the kids slide uncontrollably down one path, completely helpless. They crash land in a heap, still tied up and totally freaking out about their situation. And of course they have landed in a dead end, surrounded by the monster's stolen loot. Meanwhile, Parsley is somewhere else entirely, a look of grim determination on her face. She has actually found the real exit, a hidden crack leading straight to the outside. But she cannot just leave thinking, if we escape, more victims will just keep appearing. We have to go back. That is when the little massacre dragons pop up right behind her, looking way too cheerful. Parsley just smirks, turning to face them with a cold look. "I have been watching you. You are asking for a fair fight, huh?" Back with the others, they are wondering if they have actually managed to escape the chase. Khan spots Binz's staff among the stolen goods, but the little girl starts crying. "Where's Mom's necklace?" She is completely panicked, realizing it is gone and she has to find it no matter what. Her older sister screams her name, Mandarin, as the little girl runs off on her own. She crawls into a tiny hole in the wall, ignoring everyone's desperate pleas for her to come back, which leads to this ridiculous scene of Khan and the elf guy getting stuck trying to follow her. Binz points out the obvious. That hole just leads back to where we started. Let us take the main path. But little Mandarin is already deep inside, searching for her treasure right next to that horrifying pile of bones, and against all odds she actually finds it, whispering, "Ah, found it." She pulls out a silver locket, a tiny glimmer of hope in this absolute nightmare factory. This older sister, Lemon, is absolutely furious, yelling at her little sister. She screams, "Are you going to keep making trouble like this?" But Mandarin just cries that she needed her mom's necklace. They get into a tug-of-war over the locket, with the little one yelling she needs it to see her parents again. But in their struggle, the locket flies open, revealing a family photo right before it plummets toward the monster goo. Lemon screams no, and dives after it without a second thought. Her feet literally leave the ground as she desperately reaches for her family's last memento. When suddenly Khan swoops in, grabbing her just inches from the sticky trap below. He is clearly straining, but he saved her life and she just stares up in shock, calling out, "Mister." He carries her back to safety, looking like a true hero for a split second. This little girl apologizes, but he just smiles, telling her, "It is okay, thanks to you my ropes came undone." Vince rushes over asking if he is alright, and Khan hits him with the classic hero line. "Of course, I am fine, this is nothing." Only to immediately start wobbling on his feet, the tough guy act completely falling apart. Vince has to catch him as he collapses, with Khan just groaning in defeat. Elsewhere, Lemon is apologizing to her sister, blaming herself for everything that has happened. And Khan is lost in his own guilt, thinking if he'd just been more alert in the cornfield, none of this would have happened. He replays the moment the cave collapsed, how both he and Bince ran to protect the kids. He knew Parsley had a plan to use the staff and that she was fast enough to save them all. But in a moment of panic, he admits, "I stupidly threw myself forward first." And because of his reckless move, not only did he get hurt, but the precious locket was damaged in the fall. He just hangs his head, his clothes torn and his spirit broken, whispering to himself, "How pathetic." Parsley is getting absolutely boxed in by the two remaining dragons and their disgusting goo attacks. She dodges another volley, clicking her tongue in pure frustration, because she knows she cannot just keep running, thinking, the more we dodge, the tighter the space gets. With the weak weapons she has on hand, she is at a massive disadvantage. So she pulls out a tiny little pop gun and fires it in desperation. But the shot just harmlessly bounces off, confirming her worst fears. And just as I thought, this dragons just float there, practically laughing at her pathetic attempt. She is at her limit, screaming, "Damn it, do not you have anything sturdier? Just one shot is all I need." For a second, she wonders if this is the moment she has always craved, where raw power is the only thing that matters. She ducks behind a rock, frantically digging through her magic pouch for an answer. As the monsters close in, she mutters, "A sturdier weapon," and pulls out a freaking AK-47, her eyes gleaming as she thinks, "If it is this," she takes aim, ready to unload a full clip into these little blue nightmares. But then a lesson from her past stops her cold. Brute force is fine, but precise mana control is far deadlier. She remembers her master telling her that being physically gifted does not mean she can neglect her brain. He tried to teach her the theory, but all she could think was, "Do I have to? So annoying." Now his words are her only hope. Clear your head and gather all your focus into the palm of your hand. She visualizes his lesson, imagining she is holding a delicate glass marble with the perfect amount of pressure. A brilliant blue aura explodes around her as she channels that pure mana into the rifle, and fires a single supercharged bullet that completely vaporizes the dragon's attack on impact. But she is totally freaking out, yelling, "How am I supposed to do that in a situation like this?" She takes aim, trying to channel her master's lesson into the rifle as the monsters mock her. When suddenly a massive stalactite crashes down from the ceiling, smashing one of the dragons. And a mysterious voice cuts in, "Yep, I aimed a little high on purpose. I am a can-do kind of guy, thanks." This dragons are sent tumbling through the air, completely blindsided by this new challenger. Parsley just stares, completely stunned as this new guy lands right in front of her. He immediately follows up with a devastating kick, sending the other monster flying. And just like that, the tables have turned, leaving the little nightmares cornered and terrified. He pins them down, hitting them with the coldest line, "Shall we have ourselves a nice, slow reunion?" A little while later, the group has reunited, with Bince finally getting the ropes off of Khan. Parsley rushes over, frantically asking if everyone is okay and calling out to Bince. She immediately spots the massive wound on his back, but he just shrugs it off. He even claims he took care of the monsters and found an exit, trying to play the hero. But Parsley stops them, reminding everyone about the evil crystals still hanging from the ceiling. She explains they have to guard them until the temple mages can arrive to handle the retrieval. Bince sighs, calling it a hassle, but agrees to escort the kids and contact the temple. Right then, the two surviving dragons drop down from above, looking for round 2. She scoffs, thinking they are so weakened now that a simple attack should be enough to finish them. But one of them just opens its horrifying mouth, drooling with a terrifying new hunger, and it straight up eats one of the evil crystals, which is about to make this situation a million times worse. Parsley's face drops in disbelief as the little dragon just grins, completely unfazed. She mutters under her breath, "Damn, the one thing I was afraid of just happened," because that little monster just transformed into a towering, skeletal abomination right before their eyes. Khan is completely freaking out, but Parsley realizes the creature is willing to gnaw through its own soul just for this power-up. He quickly asks her, "Parsley, did you find the staff?" And she confirms she brought it with her. She just smirks, turning to face the beast with the coldest line, Then I will handle that monster. I am the top dog here anyway, right?